Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the different forms of conditional statements. Our objectives for this topic are: number 1, define each of the different forms of a conditional statements. Number 2, identify the inverse, converse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement. And number 3, convert if-then statements into their converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Let's start and a review of our past lesson. What do we call to this particular statement? If you watch this video carefully, then you will definitely understand this topic. Okay, bien?
Sir, that is an example of a conditional statement.
Very good, bien. Rona, will you please define further what is a conditional statement?
A conditional statement is joining two statements, P and Q, using the words if and then.
Correct. Define further, Grace.
The P statement of a conditional statement is the hypothesis and Q statement is the conclusion.
Go back to our example. If you watch this video carefully, then you will definitely understand the problem. Emmeline, please stand up and identify the hypothesis and the conclusion.
If you watch this video carefully is the hypothesis, you will definitely understand this topic is the conclusion.
Thank you. Now, to recall further an if-then statement, I will raise a question, then state your answer in an if-then statement. Clear? Number 1. What time if both hands of the clock are standing? Bobette?
If both hands of the clock are standing, then it is 6 o'clock.
Great, Bobette. Next, number 2. What time if both hands of the clock form 90 degrees? Tony?
If both hands of the clock form 90 degrees, then it is 9 o'clock.
Great also, Tony. Last but not the least, number 3. What time if both hands of the clock are between 1 and 2? Kring?
If both hands of the clock are between 1 and 2, then it's already 1:08 p.m.
No, it's wrong. The answer is, if both hands of the clock are between 1 and 2, then it is already 12 o'clock. Let us continue. Every conditional statement has 3 related statements, namely converse, inverse, and contrapositive of the conditional statement. In converse, we are just interchanging P and Q statements. So we have Q implies P, or if Q, then P. As you can see, in the conditional statement, the conclusion became the hypothesis and the hypothesis became the conclusion. Let us proceed to the inverse of a conditional statement. In this, we are negating the hypothesis and the conclusion by simply inserting not to them. So we have not P implies not Q, or if not P, then not Q. Next is the contrapositive. In this, we are interchanging the not P and not Q statements. So we have not Q implies not P, or if not Q, then not P. Again, these are the forms of conditional statements. Remember, in conditional, if P, then Q. In converse, if Q, then P. Its inverse is the negation of the conditional. So we have if not P, then not Q. And its contrapositive is the negation of the converse of the conditional, or if not Q, then not P. Okay, let us take examples for better understanding of this topic. A conditional statement. If you are living in Santo Domingo, then you are studying in Diculiwag National High School. After if is the hypothesis. So the hypothesis is you are living in Santo Domingo. After then is the conclusion. So therefore, the conclusion is you are studying in Santo Domingo National High School. Now, for us to convert this into Converse statement, interchange P and Q statement. So, we have, if you are studying in Liwag National High School, then you are living in Santo Domingo. Again, as we notice, the conclusion is now the hypothesis, and the hypothesis is now the conclusions. We just interchange. For us to convert this into inverse, just insert the word not to P and Q statements of the conditional. If you are not living in Santo Domingo, then you are not studying in Liwag National High School. Again, as we notice, we just inserted not to both of the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. Contrapositive statement. It is denoted by if not Q, then not P. The contrapositive is simply the negation of the converse of the conditional. If you are not studying in Liwag National High School, then you are not living in Santo Domingo. Another example, number 2, is if the sum of the measures of any two angles is 180, then they are supplementary angles. Our statement P again is the sum of the measures of any two angles is 180, while the Q statement is any two angles are supplementary angles. To convert into converse, if Q then P, stated like this. If any two angles are supplementary angles, then the sum of their measures is 180. While the inverse is if not P, then not Q. If the sum of the measures of any two angles is not 180, then they are not supplementary angles. Last but not the least, the contrapositive, if not Q, then not P. If two angles are not supplementary angles, then the sum of their measures is not 180 degrees. Third and last example for this particular video. If you are an 18-year-old Filipino citizen, then you are qualified to vote in an election. The converse statement is if Q, then P. Our statement will be like this. If you are qualified to vote in an election, then you are an 18-year-old Filipino citizen. Again, as you notice, the conclusion becomes the hypothesis and the hypothesis becomes the conclusion. The inverse, if you are not an 18-year-old Filipino citizen, then you are not qualified to vote in an election. The contrapositive, if you are not qualified to vote in an election, then you are not an 18-year-old Filipino citizen. For your activities, kindly do this in a one whole sheet of paper. Answer practice task 1 and practice task 2 on pages 6 to 7 of your module 14 of General Mathematics. Note, kindly look for further instructions on your weekly home learning plan for additional activities attached on this module. For your parallel activities, write in words the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of the following conditional statement. Though this also in a one whole sheet of paper.